Welcome one, welcome all to Max's Mic. I'm Max and I have the mic. And today's episode is the unveiling of my mock draft 1.0 for the 2025 NFL season. This is, as of right now, who I think will be drafted and where. No trades. Don't really think I'm going to get too into the trade market. I don't really feel like there's going to be too many trades. Obviously, there are going to be trades, but I'm not too confident on who's moving where. So we're going to get into trades as we move closer to the draft. And especially, I got a strong feeling that depending on how the combine goes, there's going to be a lot of trades. So either they're going to happen or I'm going to be talking about the ones that I expect to see. But for now, straight up 32 teams in the order that they currently are standing. And we are going to get right into it, starting with the number one pick and the Tennessee Titans. I have them taking Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, not only the player who I believe is the number one in this draft class, but I also believe is the best option for this Titans team, who needs help on both offense and wide receivers, especially with the absence of and just having Calvin Ridley, and no one really else. And Ridley's not even really a number one receiver right now. He's probably like a two. Nick Westbrook-Ikine is a free agent. Traylon Burks is a free agent, and those are the current 2 and 3. But I wouldn't even really consider them 2 and 3. Maybe they're both a 3 or a 4. So getting another guy that can be a wide receiver, as well as getting a guy who then can be a cornerback. And while I do think that he should and probably will play more snaps or will want to play more snaps as a corner, I wouldn't be surprised to see him a little more on offense, maybe just as a distraction, not necessarily always being the focal point, but I feel like just a player of his caliber and of his potential can cause such a distraction to a sense that he might go out there offensively and take some snaps just to run a route for the sake of running a route. Try to pull some defenders to him so that it opens up the field for someone else to get open. That's a possibility. That's something that the Titans can do. Nonetheless, you draft him, which you can. It means that you can spend that salary cap space somewhere else instead of trying to re-sign or sign 2 receivers to fill the gaps. You can save that money by just drafting Hunter. Plus, the bang for your buck is he can also help fill in a struggling secondary. Moving on to the Browns, and we're going to speed this up. There's not going to be a long explanation for all these picks, but a handful of ones I'm going to give quite a big explanation to. Well, not big, but quite an explanation to. In this next pick, the Browns, they're going to take Abdul Carter. Now, I had them probably taking Cam Ward here. However, Myles Garrett's gone, or he's going to be traded. Very likely. He's requested a trade, and this one feels like one of those times when a player is requesting a trade, and it's very likely he's going to get his wish. So, with Myles Garrett now gone, you're left with a gaping hole at that edge position. And here you are presented the opportunity to fill it with a player that has the potential to be a Myles Garrett. Definitely. I feel confident in saying that there is the potential. I'm not saying he is currently or will be, but I'm saying that there is a genuine chance that he could be as good as a Myles Garrett. And with that potential, with that generational talent, although not a phrase that many would like to continue to use, I'm going to use it here and say that Abdul Carter can be a generational edge rusher, and I don't think the Browns are going to pass up on him. Then we got the Giants at 3, desperately need a quarterback, and although this is a weak quarterback draft, Dable on the shortest possible leash needs to get his quarterback and prove that there is a possible future and that this Giants team is trending upward. And you got to take a quarterback here, going with Cam Ward. As of right now, feel like he's the better quarterback. Now, we'll see come pro days, come combines, where that stands. But as of right now, I'm going with Cam Ward. Then I'm going to go with Will Campbell to the Patriots. I've played around with Campbell or Tetero McMillan here, and I can understand both, but when it comes to building a franchise around a quarterback, yes, you need the receiver help, but there are quite a few really good receivers, not just available in free agency, in which the Patriots have an insane amount of cap space that they can go and spend. But also, there's quite a few really good players that could be available later in the draft, the second, third, fourth round. Xavier Restrepo, a guy that could be available later down in this draft, just to name one, that the first one that came to my mind. There's definitely a load of other receivers that are going to be available later that the Patriots could also take. But again, they've got a lot of cap space, and you can go out and spend it on the any one of the pool of receivers available, or trade for Cooper Kupp. Could be another thing available. So, with the mass amount of receivers available and the fact that the current way that it is trending, in which offensive line and the salaries for an offensive lineman are going up, Patriots are presented with a great opportunity to draft an offensive lineman in Will Campbell, and I think they take it. Next, I've got gonna quick fire through the next two picks. I've got the Jags taking Mason Graham, and then the Raiders taking Shedeur Sanders, two players that fill needs on each team. Then we've got the Jets, and I've got the Jets taking Will Johnson. Now, the Jets are a team that I've looked at that could trade up just because they also need a quarterback. So we're going to see how these quarterbacks test and where their draft stock goes from there, as well as any other quarterbacks later on. The Jets could trade down potentially to draft a quarterback. That is something that could happen as well. We think a lot about you want to trade up. Well, there are some decent quarterbacks that might be available that might prove that they are worth a first round bid, but not number 7. But you might be able to trade down and get one. But for right now, I got the Jets sticking around and taking Will Johnson to go as the other tandem to Sauce Gardner. Imagining a DB, a cornerback duo that consists of Sauce Gardner and Will Johnson is scary to me. And the potential to do that is incredible. And the Jets can really upgrade their defense with Will Johnson. Then I got the Panthers at 8, taking Jalen Walker, really great linebacker. Not too high on too many people's boards, but I got a really strong feeling that come combine season and pro days, his stock's going to go up. 9, Saints taking Tetero McMillan. They really need a wide receiver, especially one that isn't as injury prone, hopefully, as the current group of receivers that the Saints have. So Tetero McMillan also just a freak athlete, really an incredible receiver. 10, the Bears. I got them taking Kelvin Banks Jr. And then I got Tyler Booker, the guard, Alabama, going next to the Niners. Two teams that need offensive line help. Two teams that are looking to figure things out, especially around the quarterback that they currently have. And again, a great way to help out your quarterback is to go and get him some offensive line help. I got these guys doing that. Then I got at 12, Ashton Jeanty going to the Cowboys. Just really feels like everyone's kind of doing that. And yeah, be different, but it feels like the right pick too. It really feels like the Cowboys need a running back, and Ashton Jeanty's going to be there, and he's just an incredible athlete. And while I do say that Travis Hunter's the best player in this draft class, I think that Ashton Jeanty really did earn that Heisman. So Ashton Jeanty, the people's Heisman winner, going 12 to the Cowboys. Malachi Starks going 13 to the Dolphins. Just safety help. The Dolphins, they need a little help with the DBs with the set in the secondary. So getting Malachi Starks. Colts taking Tyler Warren. Just an incredible player. And the way that I see this NFL offensive landscape trending towards the motioning, the moving, the deception, Tyler Warren is a great guy that you can have line up as a tight end, just off the line, out as a receiver, in the backfield, as an O-lineman. He can be everywhere and anywhere at the same time. And I think that he's going to be Anthony Richardson's best friend when it comes to on-field play, and is really just going to be a dynamic changer, a changer on this offense and make a big difference, as well as the Colts need a tight end. 15, I got the Falcons taking James Pierce Jr. Seen some people go with Mike Green here. However, I feel like James Pierce is the better edge rusher. So I'm going with him. And then 16, back-to-back edge rushers. The Cardinals taking Shamar Stewart. 17, I have the Bengals going with Walter Nolan. I've toyed around with maybe Luther Burden here. However, I do believe that T. Higgins will re-sign with the Bengals. And should he, I think that the Bengals are going to want to go get some interior defensive line assistance. So give me Walter Nolan. Next at 18, I have the Seahawks taking Armand Membu. And although he's currently listed as a tackle, I think due to his size or his lack of size, he's going to move inside to that guard position, which is something that the Seahawks need help with. 19, I got Jahad Campbell going to the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are going to need some linebacker help. Going to need to look and try to get some linebacker assistance to new linebackers, and I think that Jahad Campbell is a really stellar linebacker. 20, I have the Broncos taking Luther Burden. Broncos, they just need receivers, whether that be a tight end or a wide receiver, and I feel like with just the way that this team is trending and also the fact that tight end is another position that there's quite depth later in the draft, I feel like when you've got a guy like Luther Burden, who's right there, a great receiver, I think that you've got to take him. 21, Jahad Barron going to the Steelers. 22, Colston Loveland reuniting with Harbaugh over with the Chargers. 23, I've seen some people go with Benjamin Morrison. However, I think Savone Revel, as right now, is the better DB out of the two of them. And I believe that Savone Revel is the best DB available, and the Packers are in need of some DB help. So I think the Packers are going to go with Savone Revel. At 24, the Vikings taking another Michigan player, the fourth Michigan player to get drafted, Emeka Egbuka. Excuse me, not Emeka Egbuka. What am I saying? Sorry, Kenneth Grant. I'm looking at the next pick in which I have the Texans taking Emeka Egbuka. First, Kenneth Grant, a great interior defensive lineman, and I think will really help this Brian Flores Vikings defense. Now 25, I'm super excited to talk about Emeka Egbuka and why I think the Texans are going to take him. Seen a handful of different players thrown around in this spot, but I think the Texans are going to go with a receiver and Emeka Egbuka. One, he's a great receiver. Phenomenal. Stellar guy. The Texans are also going to need receiver help. They're going to be losing. I don't think that they re-signed Stephon Diggs. I don't know where Diggs goes, but I don't know if he's going to stay in Houston. And you need a guy to kind of come in and fill in. It really felt like this Texans receiving core worked in a tandem, in a assembly line in which it was just, all right, this guy can't fill in, next guy up. Keep him moving down the line. Who's the next receiver? Because this guy's now hurt. Diggs got hurt. Tank Dell got hurt. Nico Collins got hurt, and then he came back. And it's just been a rotating door going in and out of that injury reserve. And to go and get a guy who hopefully will stay healthy, who will be a third receiver to hopefully fill in should one of the others get hurt. Emeka Egbuka is a great fit for this Texans team. Now we've got the Rams at 26. I think they're going to take a tackle, and I like Josh Conerly Jr. here. There are two other top-end tackles. Josh Simmons at Ohio State falling, Gray Zabel, who I think is going to be taken in a few picks. But I feel like Josh Conerly Jr. is not just the better tackle, but I also think that there's a little fear with Josh Simmons of, is he back? Is he going to be fully healthy? There's going to be some lingering from that injury, and I feel like with Josh Conerly here, you don't have to really worry about that. 27, I got the Ravens going with Derek Harmon. 28, that's where I have the Lions taking Gray Zabel, and I have the Lions taking Zabel there. Zabel, his size, another guy like Membu, who I think could bounce to the guard position, and I feel like he's going to fall to a team who needs a guard. And so it'll be a plus for both sides, as I think that Zabo will excel better at the guard position, and the Lions are going to need some guard help. Now at 29, the Commanders, I think that they are going to be the ones to pull the trigger and take Josh Simmons. I've thought of maybe the possibility that Simmons falls out of the first round, but I don't think so. I thought about it, and then I was like, nah, he's going to stay in. He's good enough to be a round one guy, or as of right now, I believe that he's good enough to be a round one guy, and I think the Commanders agree and are going to take him. At 30, the Bills. Oh, the Buffalo Bills. Got to figure it out. How can you beat the Chiefs? Well, somehow the run game, especially up the middle, kind of got to them. So what are you going to do to prevent it? Well, you're going to take an interior defensive lineman to hopefully stall out that run game in Tyreek Williams, as well as another guy that will hopefully help go and get after Mahomes, or at least draw attention from other offensive linemen so that you can go and get after Mahomes. Because although Mahomes fell to the Eagles, he still took down everyone in the AFC. So it's still for the Bills hunting down Mahomes. Now, speak of the devil, here are the Kansas City Chiefs. And while I do think that they desperately need offensive line help, I don't think that there's an offensive lineman quite worth taking here. And I think that there will be an offensive lineman who will fall to later in that second round that they will be able to take. So I have them taking Mike Green, Adam Marshall, another guy who many said should go higher and is better than James Pierce Jr. I think James Pierce is better, and that's why he went 15 to the Falcons. But Mike Green, another guy. And then finally, to wrap up the first round, I have the Eagles. I have the Super Bowl champion Eagles with a roster that I don't know how you can make better, become better by drafting Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Oh, God. If they get him. Ooh. Adding him to this already very scary Eagles defensive line who only rushed 4 and sacked Mahomes. I mean, more times than any Chief fan would have ever wanted to see. Adding Nick Scorton will make this Eagles team even more formidable than they already are, which is something that is really hard for me to fathom, but seems to be true. So that's my first round. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more draft content, and baseball season's getting going, so more baseball content is on the way as well. Until then, I hope you all have a great day. Take care and goodbye.